Hello and welcome to In a Spiritual Sense, where we discuss all things spiritual. From growing your intuition, speaking with spirit guides, diving into past lives, the paranormal, and more, join me, Stacey Piagno, where we work to bridge the gap between science and spirit. Hello and welcome back to In a Spiritual Sense. I'm your host, Stacey Piagno. Whew, I don't know about you guys, but I have had a tough week. I hope you have not. But I wanted to share this because I love to bring reality to my conversations. Look, we all have times of ease. We all have times of pain, times of conflict. It's all okay. It's all good. But I want to share with you today how I was feeling and how I worked through it because it works for me and it's real. And we're going to get into a beautiful conversation today about fear, but I wanted to share this first. So I've had a week and I know the energy will be different by the time this episode airs. But again, as we know, energy moves up and down. We have rhythms of ease and rhythms of pressure. This is nature's design. It's how it works. But I'll tell you something really cool that I've discovered within myself that has to do with refinement. I kind of talked about it recently with one of my guides and how she is helping me with my refinement. How is it that I can advance myself and refine my energy and my mind? Well, this was a week for it. You know, one of the best kept secrets of life is that it works in opposites. It teaches us, shows up for us, and guides us through opposites, through the paradox of what is happening. And if we can awaken to this concept, we break the code of reality. We become masters and creators of what we experience. Our perspective strengthens, and therefore we stay awake enough to use it as a tool. But even if we are awakened to this, there will still be times when we might have to sit in the ick. And that's okay. The challenge I have found is noticing that we might be sitting in the ick and being okay with it and staying patient with it as it passes, because it always will. But I had a really tough week. The energy in my world felt off. It felt dense. And I was conscious of this. I could feel it. But it just seemed to continue to hover. And I felt like I was just constantly sifting through the smoke. It just felt like it was never ending. And so I want to take this opportunity to teach about what I was going through. I remember last year I did an episode about our Mother Earth. And I had a fabulous guest, Jyoti Mal, come on and share her wisdom as a member of the International Council of 13 Indigenous Grandmothers. And she's absolutely amazing. And so I remember one of the teachings that she shared has to do with this time that we are entering. And she referred to it as the Valley of Smoky Mirrors. And this was the first time that I had heard about this. And I'm not going to try to reteach it specifically, but the concept of it was as we go through changes, especially major shifts within our collective, we are going to begin to enter into this time that can be quite foggy. And if we are not centered within ourselves, we can very easily get distracted and we can very easily lose ourselves. Imagine a valley of smoke. It's down deep. It's hard to see and it's hard to move. And it's filled with mirrors, hinting that everything we encounter is a reflection of us, meaning everything we experience, good or in this case bad, stems from our beliefs and our views of ourselves. And again, the ick is just simply a reflection of what we have not acknowledged within ourselves. That's why it comes up as such. And this will actually come into play later in today's conversation, but my point in bringing this up is that I was reminded of this as I moved through my week. I had a short fuse. I was easily triggered, easily annoyed, And I let myself express that, which is fine. But I also felt myself pulling further and further away from my core every time I allowed this external energy to express itself through me. So every day I came home and I thought about how I lost myself a little today, and I pulled it all back together, and then I got triggered again the next day, and I pulled it all back together and got triggered again the day after that. And it just seemed like everything was constantly chaotic until I remembered, Stacy, this is not your reality that's chaotic. It's you. It's your reflection that is chaotic. And you have a say in transmuting the energy into something calm and patient by stepping back into you. And I thought about the story of the Valley of Smoky Mirrors and how we sometimes have to be very careful discerning what is ours to hold on to and what is not for us. What can we let roll around us? And during these times, it is very easy to point the finger. Oh, my week was crazy because it was Mercury and Venus retrograde, which it was. Or the kids in my class were acting out, which they were. And we had a lot of behavior problems, and the air condition broke, which it all did. But none of that matters. What does, however, matter is our internal state of being and our awareness to realize we get to produce our own energy, our own light, even if we are moving through the smoke. Yes, it is sometimes hard to see and hard to sift through, but we have a say in what we want to produce and what we want to allow into our bubble. And the trick that works for me is all about sitting, observing, and waiting. Take a breath when you want to react and catching your thoughts. Are these thoughts helping me? No. Bye. I spoke a lot in the past about noticing mini movies that play in your mind and being able to watch what you are watching. My mind was filled with negative thoughts this week, most of which I was just making up. But the energy from those began to feel true in my body because the body can't always decipher what is real or unreal when our mind is producing it. And the struggle with this is once you have one negative movie, they like to invite more in. These negative traps that our mind produces create addictions, and they like to feed off each other and multiply. So we have to be cognizant enough to see them, catch them, and replace them. And it's hard because our mind is habitual. This negativity, it feels good to the mind, especially if we do it often. And man, I was aware of them every time they entered, and I noticed them multiplying. So I tried my own advice and continued to replace them and replace them. And it was tough. It took a lot of energy to do so. And then finally, by the end of the week, I had had enough. And I was able to take control of the situation, control of all the chaotic energy that was around me. And I said to myself, today, I'm running the show. I will not allow this smoke to enter me. It will flow around me, and I will produce stillness as it moves. And when I was able to do this, my day was a complete 180, even though the energy around me was still the same. And it solidified, yep, I was creating unease this week. And today, I created ease. I'll give you one quick example with the kids in my class. Again, I teach first grade, 6, 7-year-olds, being crazy all day, every day. And when my class gets chaotic, I sometimes fall into the chaos and I get louder to try to catch up to them. And I move faster to try to catch up with everything moving around me. And I fall into the trap of trying to overpower my environment, which does nothing but overcompensates and creates more imbalance. This is what we often do when we feel chaos. We all do it. We allow our environment to move us instead of us moving through our environment and creating our own space. I just mentioned how life teaches us through opposites. Well, part of my personal refinement is to practice creating and holding space, no matter what energy is at play. So if the kids, for example, get loud and move fast, I will get quiet and move slow. The faster they move, the more intentional I need to move. The more direct I need to be, because I have an opportunity to be the anchor in my environment. And if I feel dis-ease enter me, let me have enough sense to hold it, feel it, and release it before I move with it. Let me redirect and regain control of myself and my environment. What a beautiful week I had to practice this and succeed at it, and now share it. We do have the ability to hold space for things and let them pass. We do have the ability to choose what we encounter and learn from it. So if you feel smoke around you, see it, acknowledge your reflection, and work to produce your own energy within it. Create the space you prefer within the smoke, and allow for pockets of stillness. I really wanted to share that. So, ready to get deep? Let's take a shift. Today, I want to get personal. I kind of already have gotten personal, but today we are going to discuss fear. And in order to discuss fear, we have to look it in the face. So I want to start by asking you, what is it that you are fearful of? Can you answer this question? When we talk about living a healthy life and enjoying ourselves, I think the one thing that stops us from this is fear. And most of the time, we're unconscious to this. We don't even realize that fear is the thing that is stopping us. But think about it. I think fear is a beautiful thing because the purpose of it is to create situations for us to thrive, situations for us to step into ourselves and into our power. But in order for us to use fear as a tool or a catalyst for this, we have to be able to spot it and form a relationship with it. Therefore, form a better relationship with ourselves. Fear is the product of our unconscious imagination. It stems from the hidden parts within us that we don't give a voice to. So it slowly creeps into our awareness, needing to be heard and threatening us from behind. And when we refuse to listen, to face it, it manifests into these obstacles that then force us to listen, force us to face it. And although it might not be something we enjoy facing, when we look at fear, we begin to ask ourselves, why was I not able to look at this before? Why was I not able to face this before? Because when we really look at our fears, we realize they're not at all that scary, but instead a part of us that needs attention. And what's really the worst that can happen? You don't succeed. You can't provide. You're left alone. What does that mean for us? If life is always supporting us, then not succeeding and not providing and being left alone isn't really true. Therefore, all of these things aren't really true. And if fear isn't real, then that means we're making it up. And if we're making it up, then that means it's in our control. And we do have a say. Therefore, it is up to us to form a better relationship with this thing we call fear. And maybe, since life is working for us, fear isn't something that's bad, but rather something that shows us what needs to be looked at. And maybe, if we look at it, it won't actually be so scary. Maybe instead, it's actually quite helpful because it teaches us more about ourselves. And to know more about ourselves means we can become more whole. We can become full. And so the truth is, fear helps us become more full because we learn how to step into ourselves and we learn more about who we are. Fear is a teacher for us, created by us, because it is us and only us that truly understands ourselves. Our soul understands us better than anyone. Therefore, when we can allow our soul to express itself through things such as fear, and we can allow ourselves to then receive these expressed messages by looking them in the eye, our whole world transforms. At first, it starts with a little courage, a little bit of bravery, maybe a little patience, and then it turns into laughter because we realize we've spent so much time avoiding the joy that life has to offer because of something that we thought. Fear only exists in thoughts. And I don't know if you realize this, but our thoughts are controlled by us. So the issue here is not fear. The issue is our thoughts. It is the perspective of what we deem things to be. And it usually stems from our past experiences. But once we also realize that, the concept that we produce our present and future from past experiences, it gives us the power to realize that what we are basing our reality on doesn't have to be if it's not something that we don't prefer. I mean, what is there really to be fearful of? The fear of failure, that we will not step into our full potential? The fear of being alone, because then we have to get to know ourselves? The fear of not providing, because we let others down? The fear of being stuck doing something that you don't like, so you have to go back to the drawing board and try again? Is it the fear of death, because your beliefs tell you that life is over and you don't get to be on this ride any longer? This ride that we continuously rush through. Is it the fear of going through something unpleasant, which means you have to feel and reestablish a relationship with your mind? And this takes time that you're already wasting by allowing fear to exist in the first place. We won't ever understand these feelings of fear if we don't form a relationship with it, because it stays lurking in the corners of ourselves, lurking in the shadows, scaring us from aside. The only power fear holds is that we refuse to look at it. It holds trickster energy because it tricks us into thinking it actually exists, when in reality, fear is a friend. Fear is a teacher. You know, facing your shadows isn't really that bad. We should all spend more time doing so. What's the worst that can happen? We feel mad. We feel hurt. We feel sad or lost. Are we afraid to feel these things? Because when we allow ourselves to feel, we then realize, wait, this isn't me. I don't want this, nor am I these feelings. And we start to realize, why am I feeling this? Why am I producing this? We have to be able to feel, to be able to see. And once we see, we can then create movement. We can then become artists. Did you know that memories hold emotional charges? And we can use these charges to better understand ourselves and our temperament, if we are aware of them. Because when we have memories that are unprocessed, meaning those that we are not aware of, and those that hide in our shadows, because they probably weren't that positive, they cause mass aggravation when and if we encounter something that holds similar properties to that experience. This is what we call a trigger. They are hidden negative charges within us that, when pulled to the surface, cause the frequency of that charge to surround us. It therefore resonates with us that we now have an obstacle, an imbalance. And if we don't choose to face that obstacle and simply look at it, it sneaks back into our unawareness and buries itself even deeper into our core frequency, which remains a part of us and which will stop us from being able to resonate with higher, lighter frequencies. And so, as a result, the charge from that memory builds even more darkness and more unawareness and even more unfamiliarity around it, so that next time we encounter it, which will come, the obstacle gets bigger and scarier. And now we feel its control over us, when the truth is, we are controlling it. We are feeding it by seeing it as something scary or something unpleasant or something we don't want to look at. By refusing to look at it, we are charging it with negative energy. We are charging it with power, fueling it to control us. It seems silly when you call it out. We are charging our negative memories by refusing to look at them. We are making them bigger. And I get it. It makes sense. This is why we don't want to go down and confront these things, because we don't want to feel that disharmony within us. But for goodness sake, if you never clean your house, you're going to be living in filth. And it doesn't have to be this way. So take some time to start cleaning. Become familiar with the unfamiliar parts within you so that your home is better to live in. Your instrument is better tuned. It's like when you're playing a musical instrument and there's a string that's not in tune and you strike the chord and it creates disharmony. It shocks us. It really gets our attention because it causes an interruption. And when this interruption occurs out of nowhere, it throws us off and causes all of those feelings that were attached to that unprocessed memory to spread throughout our system. And it causes confusion and negative emotions to come to the surface. So tune your instrument so that your song is in rhythm. Having a better relationship with all of our chords allows us to stay in tune. So life can strike whatever chord it wants because everything's in balance. It all sounds good. If not, you won't be able to fully partake in the music of life. You won't want to dance because it doesn't sound good. We cannot be afraid to look at and touch what we deem to be negative or hurtful. Yes, I agree that we should speak and think positively and choose that path of life and choose to focus on those things. And that's what today will help us do. But in order for us to fully understand this road, we need to have a relationship with all that is dark, because there is nothing darker than our light. There is nothing that we cannot overcome. There is nothing that can hold us back unless we allow it. Everything dark is a part of us. And if we refuse to look at it or refuse to form a relationship with it, it weighs us down. So release anything and everything weighing you down by looking at it, because it does not have to exist unless you say so, or unless you are unaware of it. It's time for us to call our power back and look at what we're fearful of. Befriend it, admire its beauty within you, and have enough grace to release it as such. Release your beauty back into the world. This is how we transmute. This is how we heal. And this is how we look fear dead in the eyes and form a relationship with it. If you enjoyed today's episode, please use it to inspire those around you. Check out my website, check out my new classes and services, and I'll see you next week for our season finale of season 2 here on In a Spiritual Sense. For those looking to connect further, please feel free to send emails to info@inaspiritualsense.com or hit me up on Instagram, where you can find weekly inspiration and updates. I look forward to connecting with you.